It's coming up to 24 minutes past 7. The issue of same-sex marriage has long been a divisive one in churches, but a decision today in the Church of Scotland could mark a significant change.
Yes, the General Assembly will vote on whether to allow their ministers to be in same-sex marriages, but what effect could it have in wider churches?
Joining us from Aberdeen is Peter Johnson, who's a Church of Scotland minister and supporter of same-sex marriage. Here in the studio with us is Andrew Marsh from the group Christian Concern. Many thanks for joining us, both of you. Peter, let's begin with you, shall we? And what are you hoping will be achieved today with this vote?
Well, the vote that's taking place today is part of an ongoing journey the Church of Scotland has been on over these last few years. And today is it's actually be the second vote that the General Assembly will take on whether to approve some changes to the legislation we have in our church law that allows congregations, if they so choose to do so, to depart from the traditional understanding of marriage and to allow ministers who are in same-sex marriages to be accepted as a minister for that particular congregation. And certainly I will be hoping that after the vote last year that said yes, and the decision by the majority of presbyteries, which is our regional decision-making bodies, to say yes to, that this General Assembly will do the same. OK,
so in favour of the vote, but Andrew, you're not.
No, and if this goes through today, I think it will sadly be another tragic step in a path away from the person of Jesus Christ at the heart of the church and towards confusion, compromise and ultimately irrelevance for the Church of Scotland. I mean, really another paragraph in perhaps a long suicide note, sadly, for the Church of Scotland, because what's at stake is the person of Jesus Christ and his relationship with the church.
It's an interesting use of the word irrelevance, because I think a lot of people would say that this was the church making itself more relevant in modern society.
Well, the role of the church is to not first to look around at the culture and the society around her, but to look to God and to listen to him. The church belongs to God, belongs to Jesus Christ. And the way that the church is relevant in culture is to offer leadership, not to ape or try to follow or kind of follow, sadly, slightly behind in the fashion footsteps, wearing outfits that were fashionable 2 years ago and trying to ape the culture, but actually to offer an alternative to society that takes seriously God's good blueprint that he gives in his kindness because he loves us, to take that seriously and to seek in his strength to live it out, to speak into the culture and into society. So that's the path of relevance for the church, to show leadership.
Peter, Andrew saying there that the church should be leading with its message, not reflecting society. Your thoughts?
Well, for me, Andrew mentioned there Jesus as being the head of the church, and certainly within the Church of Scotland, that is how we understand. And of course, the message that Jesus brings is one very much of love between individuals and between communities, of bringing people together. And my understanding of marriage, in fact, the understanding within society and within the church about marriage has developed over the years. It's changed over the years from a model that we might see in the Bible, in the Old Testament in particular, where marriage was very much about property rights of a man having ownership over his wife, or indeed wives, as is the case for the likes of King David. And we have moved to a much better understanding, I believe, of marriage as a sense of mutuality, of love between individuals. And so within that context, I certainly believe that the understanding of marriage is one that can expand beyond the limitations of a male and female to include same-sex marriages. An image I kind of liken it to, because quite often folks talk about this as same-sex marriage as somehow diminishing our understanding of marriage. I do not agree with that at all. I think what this is doing is, in fact, enhancing and strengthening marriage and that commitment. I have a number of children, and I remember when we had just one child, thinking that how could we possibly love, if we have a second child, that child as much as we do our first child. Of course, when the second, third, fourth children came along, we love them just the same. The love expands to encompass them all. And I believe that is indeed the case for marriage here.
OK, let's turn to Andrew. What do you say to those arguments and the fact that, that there is a sense that this is inevitable, even if it isn't voted through today, churches will have to accept that this is the future?
Well, it saddens me to hear Peter speak as though the church, as though it's a good thing to move on from what God has clearly made known. The humble and the response of humility is to listen carefully to what God has said. And it's striking to me that Jesus Christ, the head of the church, as we've heard, the most compassionate person who has ever walked on earth, who gave up his life to the point of death because of his love for others and to bring restoration and forgiveness. On this issue, Matthew chapter 19, for example, when he is talking about the issue of marriage and he's asked questions relating to marriage, what does he say? He says, have you not read what has already been said? He points people back to what God has already said, and he upholds the pattern of marriages between a man and a woman. And he doesn't do that to oppress. He says that because he is convinced that that is the message of liberation and fulfillment. So what's at stake here is that if we're rejecting that pattern that God has clearly given, then we're either saying that Jesus Christ doesn't want what's best for people, or he doesn't know what's best for people, as though he's been taken by surprise. And so this is an issue about whether or not we take Jesus Christ seriously.
OK, we're going to have to leave it there for now. Thank you both very much indeed. One person's clear version of one is another person's clearer version of another, isn't it? But thank you both now for now.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.